Hello, welcome to WoodNote Studio. Today I am going to show you the easiest circle cutting jig that I've come across. Not only is it the easiest, but it's probably the cheapest because you could just use some leftover parts that you have lying around your shop. Now this jig is for the bandsaw, so if you don't have one of those, then this isn't really going to help you out. But if you have a bandsaw and you have a scrap piece of wood, then I think you're going to have enough material to make this jig. So let's take a look at how I make this jig and how easy it is to set up, to use, and how safe it is. Now, first of all, throughout this project, I'm going to be referring to this piece as a scrap piece of wood when it's really a scrap piece of melamine that I had laying around. So feel free to tear me apart in the comments. I tack on some scrap pieces of plywood to the bottom of the jig, acting as a stop to sit on the bandsaw table. Now that I'm looking at this, it would have been better to tack longer pieces on the side to make my cut straight, but this doesn't need to look good. It just needs to work nice, quick, and easy. But you do you. Once these are tacked on, we will take it over to the bandsaw and make the cut. I'm not cutting the entire way through the board, only about halfway. When my stop reaches the bandsaw table, I can turn off the bandsaw and I can move to the next step. Okay, so now that these teeth go in opposite directions, I want to choose a tooth that goes towards the outside here. And I want to take my square, because I know that this end to my left is flat, and I want to take my measurement and I want to butt it right up against that to the line. Now, I max out. I only have 3 inches to go here. However, I want to touch that tooth, okay? And I want to mark every inch, which I'm only going to get 2 inches here. However, you're not going to be able to see me, but just trust I'm marking it. You'll see afterwards. And right there. So now I got 3 dots here, right? So they're my 3-inch marks. Now I can take my ruler, and if I want, I can make more. I can add more to this. I decided to measure every inch. Just remember to make the marks exactly the distance you want, starting from the tooth that is pointing towards your mark. Every mark you make is double the diameter of your circle. And you'll see how that works out in a little bit. I'm going to take my center punch to make my divots. And then all right, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drill these holes down. I'm going to use a 1/16 inch drill bit, okay? And I set this in really far in my drill so that this will work as a stop. So it's going to go down nice and easy, and as soon as it touches, I'm going to stop. I'm going to do all of these. Take the piece of wood that you want to turn into a circle and take your measurement of that. So we got a little over 4 inches here. So I'm going to make a 4-inch circle. So if you look at it this way and you count by 2s, 2, 4, right? So you have a 4-inch right here. That's what's going to make a 4-inch circle, because when you put it on there, that is going to double it from the inside. So you want to make a mark here at 2 inches. You want to center it on your board here. So we'll take our pencil. And this doesn't have to be exact. You just have to kind of make sure that you get it near where the center is going to be, so that you know where to make your circle. So I could see about right there is where I'm going to make it. I could mark it there. We're going to drill all the way through. because we know we want to make a 4-inch circle, we're going to go to the second drill hole in here. Okay. And now it's going to spin around. Once you have your piece attached to your jig, you put the jig on the bandsaw, getting your soon-to-be circle as close to the blade as possible before turning it on. Then turn on your saw, use the stop to get the jig in final position, and then slowly spin your piece to safely cut it out. And that's all there is to it. Easy peasy. How does that saying go again? There's somebody out there that's always saying it. There's your circle. Very little measuring, using scrap wood. It rolls. Very simple jig, easy way to make accurate cuts. We got a perfect 4-inch circle here. So if you want to make coasters or anything that has a circle or roundness, you don't have to have it at the 1-inch increments. You could do every 1/2-inch increments. You can make a measurement and drill exactly the size that you want it to be. Just remember you want half, because it's going to double the size of the circle. You know, that whole pi thing. I actually like math, but when it comes to geometry, I'm not an expert, that's for sure. So hopefully by next week, I'll be releasing a video on why I'm making this jig. And then you could see, you know, a little project that I built and make. So if you want to see what I'm going to be doing next week, hit that subscribe button and notification button. If you like the jig that I just made, hit the like button too. And leave me a comment below on some other uses that I can get out of this. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.